Hey everyone, welcome to Property Finance with Lee. It's been a while. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined with ANDRIES from Xpand Property. ANDRIES, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to the little chat today.
I know we've tried recording this podcast 3 times. I think this is our third time. So
It is.
we've had technical difficulties in the past, but hopefully this time we could produce a good podcast and give our viewers something to watch.
That's it.
ANDRIES, I think you've got a very interesting story. You probably started your property investment journey a little bit later than most people. Why don't we run our audience through your background and what led you into this field, how you got involved?
So basically, I used to be a chef. I was a chef for about 17 years. And, that's how I got into Australia through being sponsored into the country. We arrived here in 2008, South Africa, as you can hear. Accent's still a bit thick. But anyways, yeah, we arrived in Australia, hand of honey, as they say it. And, it was a tough first 4 years, never easy immigrating to a new country. But, we made the most of it and, we set ourselves up. And basically what happened was I was working very long hours, saw my wife very little. And so decided to go and study something else that would, give me better hours and better quality of life. And so I went and did a degree in building construction management and, specializing in or majoring in quantity surveying. And that was in 2012, I started studying and finished my degree in end of 2015. So that was really me getting into I suppose, the property side, construction side. We also ended up building our own place in 2015. So it was our first home. We've never owned a home before. So that was a very scary experience, especially when you work so hard to build up a little bit of deposits and then having to give it to someone else and hoping they do the right thing with it.
Back in 2015.
Yeah. So
were you still chefing at that time or were you in the construction industry?
No, so
already?
I was going from chefing. Well, no, at that time I was already in construction. So in 2013, I got a job in construction. Well, my first year of studying, and that was with a small developer that does townhouses and upmarket homes here in Canberra. And worked for him for a little while, and then I actually went back to chefing for maybe 3 months before I got a cadetship working at for a bigger firm as a quantity surveyor. And then from there, I went into commercial real estate, fit outs, and I'm still pretty active in that space even today. So that's 10 years later, essentially. Yeah, so we built the first home and we built it just before the market shifted. So we actually got the block of land for that 240, I think, from memory.
Jeez.
Literally when we moved into our place, which was about 8 months later after starting the build, we then realized the property had shifted and this cheapest block in the same estate was 450. So straight up, we made equity. So we lived there for maybe 18 months. So we've always wanted to live in a country, always wanted to live on a acreage. That's always been the dream. So we ended up selling that. We moved out to a place called Manton. It's a new country estate. Bought 11.5 acres, built the dream home again, built it, engaged to build it, but he was never there. I was actually managing the whole process with the subbies on site every day. And it was,
wow.
Because I was in the industry, it was easy. So we built that dream acreage. When we moved in there, we actually kept some money aside and we decided we wanted to invest, because I've been reading a few books for probably about 3 or 4 years prior to us moving in there. And, the bug kind of got me a little bit, I got interested in investing because I could see it's a clear pathway to building wealth. And our reasoning behind doing it is because we arrived in a country when I was literally 30 years old. So I was already, missed out on 10 or 15 years of super for both me and my wife. And we just felt we needed to build up a nest egg somehow. And property seemed to be the way to do it. And so again, we bought the first property and, being really worried about it because we've never owned an investment property. So that was the hardest purchase we've ever made, I think, because, you count every dollar. So
Were you
yeah,
surprised when you came to the country what the property market here was like? Was it similar in South Africa?
look, we could see that the properties here had, it keeps its value very well.
Yeah.
Historically, it's done that as well. It's always grown. It's never dipped. I think the big difference between South Africa and Australia is the unemployment rates. Unemployment rates in Australia is really low, whereas South Africa, I think even like today, I think it's probably like between. Don't have the correct statistics, but I think it's between 35 and 50% unemployment.
That's a lot. That's
So
high.
it's really really high. So properties over there, you get the ultra elites, high end properties that are like 100, 150 million rand for a property, which is, insane. No one who lives there can afford these properties, but it's all foreign investors buying it up because they've got the money. You pretty much divide the rand by 10 and it'll give you the dollar.
Okay.
So, 150 million rand property is like $15 million.
Significant, very significant
it
properties.
it is a serious property. You've got prime location. You overlook the sea. So it's not an everyday home. The biggest problem is the unemployment and the crime rates, and so all those things combined, and the country not really growing. It's in decline. The property market is very different over there. It used to be good when I was growing up. It was really good because there was a strong market. There was a strong economy. But that's, we're talking about back in the early to late 1990s is when the market was still half decent. So Australia has got a very different market. It's very secure. There's a lot of money invested in a property over here. It's not like America where, people can just walk out of their mortgage and not have to repay it. Over here, if you walk out of your mortgage, you're still going to have to repay it. So the banks are invested, people are invested. I always say bricks and mortar, invest in bricks and mortar. And that's definitely true in Australia.
Yeah, it seems like the great Australian dream is owning your own property.
That's right.
You go to parties, you go anywhere, any social event, 9 times out of 10 people are talking about the property market or what interest rates are doing or something like that.
That's it.
Seems like it's our singular focus here. I suppose it's different in places like America where, they're more stock market orientated, but every country's got their quirks. So you build you build one home, then you build a second home. Is that right?
Yeah. So we sold the first one, built the second one.
You sold the first one? Yep.
Yep. And then we were actually going to move up to Brisbane, which we ended up not doing, but we sold the dream farmhouse on the acreage. And we thought at the time, we made quite a good profit. We're talking about 450K profits. So we invested some of that money again. We bought more investment properties and we bought another property in town, which we had plans of doing an extension at the rear and then doing the fully landscape, the garden and all that. We didn't get around to doing the extension, but we did do the landscaping. So we bought that property for around the $430,000 mark. We actually sold that January this year at 810.
Congratulations.
So, made good profit again. And, this is what I keep saying to people, like, don't be fearful of the market. Property is definitely a way, there's so many different ways of approaching it. So you can be doing flips, you can be doing investments, you can be doing rent investing, you can be doing what we're doing as a couple is buying a property, building it, doing it up, and then selling it a few months later.
Andries, how long have you been now in Australia?
Since 2008. So it's been, let's call it 15 years.
15 years. Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, what's the size of your investment portfolio now? How many properties are we talking?
So we're sitting on a primary residence and we've got another 4 properties that we've got invested.
You've got 5 properties that you managed to purchase within 14 years. In a very short period of time, you managed to basically grab 5 properties for yourself,
That's
and your
right.
family. It's a phenomenal effort, phenomenal achievement, and the fact that you started at a later age in a new country, I
Look,
mean,
and
it's very
I was earning very little when I arrived.
I could
As a
imagine.
chef being sponsored,
Yeah.
you're earning like minimum wage essentially.
You're
So
working for
that
the visa basically, aren't you?
100%. So, yes, I discount the first 4 years because they were the hard yards just to get into the country and get established. Really we only had the last 11 years where we transformed our lives. And we now, seeing those fruits, it's giving us opportunities. It's giving us a different lifestyle that we've wanted. It's also been a natural progression into, I got my real estate license. So I got a class 1 real estate license, and that was part of just the natural passion for the industry, for, real estate and properties. We wanted to progress.
Yes.
It's like a natural progression of going from, starting to invest, getting into construction as an industry to work in, getting a real estate license. And now it's just naturally progressing into trying to, we want to help others achieve what we've done. We've done the hard yards, we've done it the hard way. We didn't have any mentors or input to help us along the way. And so it's really an exciting time for us. There is 4 of us in Xpand property. Combined, we almost have 10 million in assets. So I think we're doing the right thing. And with the building and the construction background that I've got, I see a lot of opportunity that general people don't see. It just boggles my mind. It's from memory, the statistic says less than 1% own 3 or 4 properties and more. So we're already sitting in that little space, and the whole intention for us was to get something of value that we
Yeah.
could build over a period of time. So when we get to retirement, our kids don't have to worry about us. We'll have something to look after ourselves. And if there's something left at the end of the day, that's going to go to them. Purely, it came from the fact that we arrived here late in our lives. We didn't have anything built up. We didn't have savings. And I honestly feel that anyone in Australia could be earning or could be owning 3 to 4 properties. There shouldn't be any reason why they can't. It's not a
Yeah.
hard process. It's just that you've got to make the right decision. You've got to get expert advice along the way, and you've got to do it in a risk adverse way as best possible. If you're just going to be going and following the crowd and buying like in Perth now, everyone's jumping on Perth. Essentially, Perth is still a mining town. We've seen how they dipped in 2008. So, it's, if all of a sudden the world doesn't need any more, raw material that we are exporting out there, the mine starts closing down and the market dips again. So, I kind of feel, Perth, yes, it's been stagnant for over 10 years and it has been the cheapest area in the whole of Australia, capital city wise. It probably has just corrected itself in terms of, bringing the housing market up to where it should be, but it's still a volatile market.
From what I've seen, there seems to be a lot of background industry outside of mining being built there. Now, whether that translates to stability in a mining downturn, I don't know. But I think there's more to Perth today than just mining than there was in 2008. I'm based on the Gold Coast for those of you who don't know, and the same was true on the Gold Coast. Again, 2008, 2009 GFC time when no one was going on holidays and stuff, the Gold Coast suffered tremendously. It was
quiet.
really, really bad. And I think now if you go outside of the Gold Coast and have a look at what's happening, just north in places like Yatala, Ormo, Stapleton now, you've got some of the biggest industrial parks, that I've seen anywhere, and
Yeah.
I'm from Sydney originally, so I know what industrial parks look like.
Yeah.
It's insane what's happening. So a lot of these places, I feel they're diversifying. They're not just tourism places or just mining places or just things. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Perth is it's a 50-50. There's people that are in your camp that believe, in a mining downturn, it will suffer. I think it will suffer too. Just the severity of how much it suffers, it will be interesting to look at.
Look, I think you very right. There definitely will be a lesser than what we saw in the past. The short term, I think we're not talking short term. I'm talking about 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Short term, I think Perth is still a volatile market, but like you say, there is other industries being created because of all the influx of other people, other
Yes.
skills, other industries. So when you look long term, 10 years plus, there definitely is opportunity for them to start growing as a city. You know, Canberra is another prime example. It's all based around government with industry supporting government. So if for whatever reason, the politicians start getting fired tomorrow, yeah, Canberra is going to end up being a desolate place. 65%, I think, of the population is employed in some way or another by, governments over here.
Government.
Luckily, I don't live in Canberra anymore, but it is my next door neighbor. So I
Yes.
do keep my tab on what's going on there.
How many of you is working at Xpand Property?
Two of us are class one real estate license. The other one is a assistant real estate agent working towards her class two. So, that's quite exciting. We've just established the sales component here in a little country town of Yass.
Okay.
We've just signed up on Thursday another property. So it's our third one this year, and we've only just started in Jan. So it is quite exciting, working on multi-million-dollar property projects, within the construction industry, and then being able to use our skills to transfer that into real estate. So it is very exciting that we're transferring our construction skills into the buyer's agency space.
Yep.
So, we kind of look for properties from a different perspective. Where can we add value? My skills being, quantity surveying skills come into play to that as well, because we can estimate how much is it going to cost to elevate this property. And we can actually help our clients make some, really, really good decisions based on real life information. And that gives them an upper hand.
I think it's a very rare skill for a buyer's agent to have. Typically, when people are engaging a buyer's agent, they have a rough idea of what they want, and buyer's agent goes out, finds them a property, says, "Here you go," and
Yeah.
that's that. But the fact that you guys can look at a property as an opportunity, and roughly in your head, what the client's in for and what it can achieve once the investment's been made and the renovations have been done. I think it's a phenomenal skill to have. It's very valuable. Source your properties. Is it across the country? Are you specific in that Yass area? Whereabouts do you normally look for clients?
Look at it. It's a bit of a mixture. We just closed the deal yesterday, actually, for a client that contacted us a few months ago from Canberra. They were looking to move out into Yass. And so we represented them in closing a deal, which they actually made an offer. It was accepted on a Friday. On the Monday, we got an email saying that the vendors accepted a different offer. And it was, significantly more the offer that they received. So my client just said, okay, well, that counts us out. 2 weeks have passed and we've seen the property, it hasn't gone under offer yet. It hasn't. So I've got in touch with the agent, and there was actually an opportunity for us to re-engage our offer at a higher offer from the last one. And we managed to pay the deposit and sign and sign the contract yesterday, and it was exchanged. So we've lost the offer. We started back, and they were really attached to this property. They really wanted to buy it. And when they got the news that they couldn't the last time around, they were devastated.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing that we were able to step in and help them secure that at the end of the day.
That's great.
But look, generally we buy Australia wide. We're not bound by borders. We've got some phenomenal in-house, software that we utilize, and it gives us real life data. It's updated monthly, and it works on three fundamentals. It works on capital growth It works on cash flow and it works on the risk factor. So obviously, if you're looking for cash flow property, so you can set those fundamentals any way you like. And there's a whole bunch of other, I suppose, settings you can set to get a very specific property. But what it does is it'll search the whole countrywide. It'll give you data on an LGA, so on a like the Yass Valley region is a LGA. It's it's the second largest in New South Wales. But then you can even drill down even more into suburb level, which is, within those LGAs. And then that's where we really start doing our work and our research to find a property street by street.
You can basically take a client brief. So a client says, Andries, I want an investment property in Queensland. I don't care where it is in Queensland, but I want it to have X amount of return. It's got to be this close to a major town or city. And you can find them, you basically pinpoint them something that comes up on the market at that time.
Pretty much. Yeah. So instead of us having to do all the research, will take us, 2 or 3 weeks. We can do that within days.
Right.
So it really, really gives us a real advantage within the market space. And especially with other buyers agents, these areas are prone to be known by other buyers agents because they're also in the game of trying to find something. So what we've found lately is because the market is, people say the market's down, and I disagree. What I do see is because the market is fearful, a lot of investors that are, have got an idea of what the market is doing, they're actually busy buying.
Yeah.
Because you buy the low and you're obviously making your gains as the properties increase in value. So the properties that we've been finding, they don't stay on market for very long. I've had a couple of, probably 2 or 3 times now where we've found the property, we've gone to the client says, yes, let's go. And we go to put a deposit onto the property and it's already gone.
Wow.
And then you start again. But that's just what happens. We get off-market opportunities as well where you can actually negotiate directly, which is great. That makes it a whole different ballgame. But at the same time, you've got to have your due diligence when you look at off-market properties because there could be reasons why it's not on the market.
For sure.
That's, I suppose, where my construction background comes quite in handy again, with having to look at the property and, picking up that there's structural issues or there is a moisture in a building or, there's maybe termites present, those kind of things that you want to write, make sure that they're not present if you are looking at an off-market property. Designing could be an issue as well. It could be that they've built a building on the property that hasn't been approved by council. So, there's those kind of issues as well that you've got to look at.
There's obviously quite a lot involved with the service you provide. A lot of people might look at it like it's a wasted expense, but, not only are you sourcing the properties for them, but you are also doing your due diligence on them. You're negotiating for them. People think they can negotiate well, but I think a good buyer's agent can normally earn their commission or their fee through the negotiation process as well. So, there's a lot that goes into it, and especially some of the properties that you found, people and clients that we've worked on together. I've been astounded at some of the returns in the locations that you found them in.
We want to help people. We want to help them grow their own personal wealth, put them in a better place, essentially, so they can make better decisions. So that's what we're about. And that's why we actually, all 4 of us are actually very close friends. So that's good. The way that Xpand came about is we were actually sitting around a bonfire one night, having a good chat. And we were like, hey, what can we all do as friends to, really do our own thing so we can actually get the life that we want. And that's how Xpand came about. It's come from passion from, all of us are really avid investors. Like I said, we've got a portfolio of near to 10 million. It takes a bit of effort to get to that.
Especially in the short amount of time you've had to do it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, look, and all 4 of us have done it in that similar time frame. So we come from different walks of life. Yes, some of us are own business owners, and we've, one of the couple, hubby is a butcher, the other one's a painter. uh, so we really do come from different walks of life, but anyone can do it. This is the bottom line. That's probably the message I want to try and get out there is, if you're a first time investor, or you might have bought one property and you're stuck, there are so many ways to do things to get you further. I actually
Yep.
I didn't tell you this yet. So on Wednesday or Thursday, I met a young girl, a young couple. They've just had their firstborn. They got a small deposit, but they both employed and they really want to buy an investment property. They realize that they can't get into the market, so they're looking at the rent investing option. They
Okay.
rent where they want to live and they invest
Yep.
in property until they get to a point where they can perhaps sell 2 or 3 of those investments and then take the profits and buy their own place. So
Phenomenal.
they've got a small deposit, but I said to her, look, your first time owner grant is out there if you guys are looking to invest and you want to build your own, buy your own place. The option is there. So, and I suppose this leads us into the next conversation, which, we were looking at talking about, is a couple from Queensland, lovely couple. And I think I'll let you speak a little bit about their finances, because you were actually helping me get the deal
Yeah.
across the line.
Yeah. So, guys, we should preface this by saying that, obviously, ANDRIES is a buyer's agent. He often has people that come to him without their finance in place. And on those occasions, he refers them to me and sees if I can get him in a position to utilize his service and purchase a property. So what happened about a few weeks ago now, almost a month ago, I would say.
Yeah, probably
Was it
3 or 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, 3-4 weeks. So 3-4 weeks ago, Andres told me about a couple, Randy and Rosie.
Yeah, look, Randy saw one of our ads on Facebook. He said to me, he needs someone to help him get into the market space. They've not been able to get in. They've missed out twice. It's been 8 years, and they're getting to an age now where they really need to make a difference. So we had a high level discovery call to go over where they're currently at, what their finances are looking like, to try and get an idea. It turned out that they've got a really small deposit, which made me a little bit nervous. They didn't have pre-approval in place to purchase anything. So they haven't gone through the process of engaging a broker or going to the bank to see if they can get a loan. And that's pretty much when I put them in touch with yourself, because, you work closely together, and it is essential for brokers and buyers agents to work together to try and get a client across the line in terms of their finance. And then, having that pre-approval in place just allows us as buyers agents to actually make better offers on properties and actually negotiate the price down.
Absolutely.
You're in a position where you can make a quick offer, close the deal quickly, and then, secure that property, because, it's still open on the market. Anyone else can grab it.
Typically, that's what I try to achieve. Any clients that get referred to me, I try to put them in a pre-approved state for that reason. The client knows what they've got to spend, and then the only condition really is a bank valuation, which under $1 million is fine 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So I understand. And, like Andrews alluded to, being able to offer a cash contract, basically a contract without a finance clause, is a very strong negotiating position to have. Randy and Rosie were immigrants as well to this country. Similar situation to Andrews.
Yep.
Both hardworking, live in the Brisbane area, renting their whole lives. The future rental of the property needed to be used for servicing. And what that simply means for our viewers is that we couldn't get a pre-approval in place for them, because the application would have been judged on what that property would have been rented out at. And obviously you can't get a pre-approval for a figure you're unaware of, right? The banks don't do that.
So the rental yield had to be a certain level.
Yep. The rental yield had to be a certain level. And obviously me and Andrews had heaps of discussions about what that figure would be. So I could give Andrews and Randy and Rosie an indication of what's possible.
And I think it's important to mention as well that that property had to be within a certain
Oh, yes.
post area as well,
Yeah, yeah.
postcode
So
area. So that
another
made it even trickier to find something.
That's right. That's right. That completely slipped my mind. So
Yeah.
because of the lending ratio that we needed to go in, it also needed to be in a Cat 1 suburb. So not only did it need to have a high yield, but it basically needed to be an inner city
Yeah.
area, you know. So
And I think what we end up finding, we found in 3 properties that were sitting at, from memory, the lowest was 8% rental yield
that's
and the
right.
highest being 10%. And that was all 3 of them were below $250,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I remember one of them, but that caught
Oh
my
no, sorry,
eye.
one was over just over 300.
Yeah. One of them that caught my eye, I remember saying to you, well, why haven't you told me about this one? Inner city Melbourne apartment. And it had like an 8.5% return, but it was right spank in the middle of the city.
It was smack bang in the city. It was literally 2 minutes from everything that people know. And the crazy thing is that property was under 300,000 and it had a rental return of 550 a week. So the strata fees were also pretty generous. So once you plug all those figures in, your strata, your council rates, your water, the insurance that you might be paying on the property, it was a cash flow positive property, wasn't it? There wasn't much, there was maybe like 50 or $100, but still
Yeah,
it wasn't going to cost you anything to hold property.
that's right.
And at the same time, being a capital city, we all know that properties appreciate a lot quicker in capital cities than it does in the country towns. But
Absolutely.
I don't discount regional cities though. Regional towns, some of them are really, really good. And I've found a few crackers that like you look at an area like Wagga Wagga. It's 2, 3, 4 years ago. Properties over there, you could have picked up a 4 BD home for 270K. You go and look at the market over there now. You're paying near to $1 million for a similar property. Our software just drives us to find those properties a lot quicker and a lot easier. We can pinpoint essentially areas that are prime for capital growth, prime for cash flow, that have the low risk. One of my investments, it is considered a really high risk area, but we wanted to get a cash flow property in our portfolio, and we're getting nearly $3,000 a month in our back pocket after everything's paid. So, and we've got a 2-year contract in place with a corporate client. So
Yeah.
we're laughing all the way to the bank.
And
And
and and what's
and
interesting about that property, because I know the one you've told me about it before,
yeah,
a lot of people's mind will go to mining, and
and it's not really a mining.
it's not
It
really a
is.
mining town. It is, but it isn't. So
It's got a lot of different industries in the area, but at the same time, I think they're investing over $50 billion into the area.
yeah,
So, like I keep telling my wife, her parents are actually both in mining. Her brother's a mining engineer, right? Her dad, he specializes in working for the mines and telling them what infrastructure they can purchase and how much is going to be over a period of time to repay, and then a cost benefit analysis. So he told me that, the mines don't invest in an area if they are not going to see those returns in the next 20 to 30 years. So it's a long-term investment, but they have to get the returns back in that time frame. So for me, knowing that a mine is investing such vast numbers of money into an area tells me they're not going to be there just for the next 5 years. They're going to be there 30 to 50 years. So, it's an opportunity to buy into the area at the beginning and then see your property value increase. And then, you sell it down the line, because
yes.
if
But you can't have, I suppose, your whole the whole investment basket, the investment
no,
portfolio. It can't all be into those
no,
sorts of properties. You
you,
need to have a mixture.
you really need to diversify. You cannot
Yeah.
put all your eggs in one basket. You drop that basket, it's all gone.
Buy the first one. That's the most important thing.
That
Buy the
is the
first
most
one.
important one. We always try to get our clients, we call them foundation properties. So the first 2 or 3 properties will be foundation properties.
Yeah.
They'll be ones that are geared more towards the capital growth cycle with, some cash flow and very in a low risk. So
Yeah.
that's what we try and purchase first.
People will come. I'll use Randy and Rosie as an example. Randy and Rosie came to Andres and myself, I'm about a month ago, and we've had to put a 12-month plan in place for them to make something happen. So if you're don't be scared to reach out to Andres and chat to him about what's possible, even if you think you're not ready today. We don't have an issue putting a 12-month plan in place to make sure you can get your foot into the door. It doesn't matter if you don't have a deposit today. First, take the first step, pick up the phone, give Andres a call.
We sit down, we work out a strategy, and we pretty much, a lot of clients that come to us have found, and it's quite funny because myself and my wife, we've been doing it for years, and it's just a natural thing we do. But a lot of families don't have a family budget set up. So
Yeah.
they don't actually know what money is coming and going, where they're spending a lot of money. And if when it comes to the time they want to purchase something, the first thing you need to do is actually look at where you can make some cuts in your personal life to be able to put that money towards a deposit. And so the first thing we kind of do is help them make that mind shift, because it is a mind shift you got to do. You got to start thinking, okay, but where can I make a change in my life to actually put money towards a deposit that I don't have right now?
Yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast the other day. So, and the guy what he was saying is, buying your first investment property is probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do, because it's the fear factor.
Right.
It's just making the change, a mindset change, and actually doing it. Then, saying, oh, I'll leave it for tomorrow. I'll do it next year. I'll do it next, in 2 years time. If you're going to be putting it off and off and off, you're not going to get into the market.
Yeah.
And property values won't stay where they are today. You got to look at it historically, look at pre-COVID. That's a prime example. Property shot up in Sydney and all the major cities between 20 to 40%. You're not going to get the pre-COVID prices again. Properties are not going to come and drop down to those levels again. So every single day is a missed opportunity if you don't get in.
Yeah. So the long and the short of it is, guys, take the first step, pick up a phone, speak to a mortgage broker, speak to a buyer's agent, see how they may help you. It's I come across so many people, and what the problem is, Andre, is a lot of people, I think that the news as well, it doesn't help, because they tell people how expensive the property market is, how ridiculous it is.
Yep.
There's opportunities throughout the country, guys. Like I've said before, you don't have to purchase the house that you're renting today. You might not even purchase in the same state. It doesn't matter. Just purchase something, get your foot in the door. Andres is a prime example of that. He's not a doctor. He's not making 300-400 grand a year. He's done it. No, I don't mean to offend you, Andres, but I'm just trying to explain to people, if the fact that someone's been able to come to this country and within 10 years purchase 5-6 properties and do it whilst working for other people, should tell you that, especially if you've been born in this country, there's no excuses. Pick up the phone, give them a call.
100%.
It's sacrifices. Sacrifices. It's how I bought my first property. It's how I bought my second property. You got to make sacrifices.
Look, I've had people that tell me, they've gone on to, which I call the noodle diet, just to be able to afford to buy their property, and the thing is, you got to do it in a systematic way where you don't put yourself in a place where you overextend yourself as well. So, you've got to do it in a risk adverse way, but at the same time, you need to have someone who's got the knowledge to guide you. If you don't have that, you don't have a mentor, you don't have someone who can actually, help you buy the property in the right area at the right time, and make sure that your portfolio is actually going to grow, then, you're going to be buying the wrong property. And you're going to end up like the investors that only have one property, because that's all you're going to be able to afford. So many people buy a property that's, worth significant money because they think, oh, this is going to be able to allow me to buy other properties. And, when you're just starting out in it, you've got to start small.
The most significant decision most people will make in life is buying a property. You know,
100%. And
I,
look, if you, sorry to cut you off there, but I just want to say that if you had the opportunity, say you had $200,000 to invest, if it was myself, I wouldn't go and buy a single property with that. I would buy two properties. And the simple theory behind it is, you're diversifying and you're spreading you're spreading yourself across multiple properties than instead of one. So if
one
one
tenant
ends up
leaves,
exactly, you still got the other tenant, funding part of that mortgage, and it buys you time. That's what it does. So just being clever about how you spend your money and how you purchase is, it doesn't take a bit of knowledge, and if you've got the right people around you, the right broker, the right buyer's agent, they're gonna be able to help you grow and your portfolio exponentially a lot quicker than what you would be able to do it, I think, by yourself, unless you've
absolutely.
got that experience or that knowledge.
Andres, I've got a client. You'll probably watch this and send me a message, but I've got a client. This kid is 25 years old, right?
Yeah, right.
And he works two jobs, not really huge money. He's a 25-year-old kid.
Yep.
But he works two jobs, doesn't spend money on anything, which getting finance, it doesn't really help him because the banks will still judge his living expenses at a certain rate anyways. But this kid's 25 years old. He's got 5 properties. He's in the process of buying his 6th. Probably this year sometime he'll buy his 6th property. And he's done this on a modest income. And the reason he's done it and been able to buy, 5 properties is because he's used a buyer's agent.
Yep.
That buyer's agent is a very investor-focused buyer's agent, such as yourself, very investor-focused. And he's been able to find him properties with 8% return, 9% return, 7.5% return. And
Yeah.
what he's been able to do through the use of a mortgage broker is scale.
Yep.
Very important to get expert advice. It is so important. The thing is, Andres, they don't teach this stuff at school. And, if this 25-year-old kid that we were just talking about could do it, look at purchasing his 6th property.
Yep.
I think anyone can do it. I think that should be the takeaway of today. And
I think I think also hats off to him because he's not going out nightclubbing every night and
no,
spending his money. On a what do they call it? A avo smashed avo on toast.
so that's a fact. You want to laugh, Andres? I'm doing this
Yeah.
kid. He's gonna watch this. Like I said, he's gonna send me a message. But what's funny is I'm doing his living expenses, right? Getting his stuff prepared for submission, and I'm looking for things that a typical 25-year-old kid would spend money on. Things like Netflix and
Yep.
a subscription, an Xbox subscription or something like that. None of that. The only subscription this kid had was to I found one subscription and I asked him about it and I said, "Hey, what's your subscription here?" He goes, because this is to a distressed property forum. It's a forum that basically advertises distressed property.
So he's got his head definitely screwed on correctly.
Absolutely. But the reason I use him as an example, and geez, I tell you what, I've got a son. If my son could do half as well as him at that age, I'd be so proud. But the reason I use him as an example is, like I said, he's earning a modest wage. He's not spending ridiculous sums of money. His singular focus is building his property portfolio. Now, you don't have to go to that extreme, but you should use it as, I suppose, inspiration that anyone can do it.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Look, I suppose the other things, the flip side to that is I actually spoke to someone the other day, very educated, they've had tens of millions of dollars in the bank, but they own no property.
there you go.
And I asked the question because, it boggles my mind a bit because, why wouldn't you have even your principal place of, residency? Why wouldn't you even have that? And he was just, his answer to me was, where I am today and in this time frame in life, I just don't feel I need any of that. That's that he's older than me, so that's he's got the money in the bank. So perhaps he did invest in properties back in the past. He's gone through that, but he's gotten to a point where he wants to live his life. This is where that kid's heading. If he wants to retire by the age of 35, he's probably going to be in a position to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Um, and he can then, live his life and travel the world if he wants to.
Yeah.
It,
Oh,
it,
look,
it
he
opens
doesn't
up.
go without. He does. He doesn't spend money on his like a lot of day to day money, but he's not above going on a holiday or whatnot. He still treats himself, so it's not like you have to.
Lock yourself in a cage.
Exactly, exactly. Just like I said, just reach out to a professional, see what you can borrow, see what you can purchase, make it happen, guys.
That's it.
And that, how can they get in touch with you, Andres?
Look, we're on Facebook, we're on Insta, we've got our webpage. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm quite active on there. It's called Xpand Property. It's XPAND, expandproperty.com.au. Very simple. Yeah, look, we're out there. We are, there to help people make a difference in their life and actually build intergenerational wealth. That's our aim in life. Our team is very friendly. They're knowledgeable. They've been through the same difficulties of getting into the first property, the second, the third. So, they've got real life experience. And I think that's what a lot of people just don't understand the processes. And that was very clear to me with this client I helped yesterday. They weren't aware of the processes and what they were allowed and not allowed to do. And, that's where the expert experience obviously helps you.
Andres, thank you so much for coming onto the show today. Hopefully this episode works perfect and it uploads perfect because we've tried to shoot it 3 times. It's like we're cursed shooting this thing. But
Mate, I'm being hopeful this time around.
I really appreciate you coming on and giving it
No,
another go. So,
no, thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me on.
no, anytime.
Awesome.
All right, guys, I'll pop Andres' details down the bottom. If you want to get in touch with him, very experienced. He's done it himself. Give him a call. He's great to talk to. That's it for today, guys. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.